So, good morning. Good morning, all you beautiful people. This is merely for a demonstration. America sees this. This message is for everybody. They see this going down the highway. What they don't see is this. What they don't see are the faces of the men and women who drive those. What they don't see in our communities is that on Sunday, I get up, I give thanks to the Lord, I go to church, I pay taxes, I support the high school football team, I support the fire departments and the rescue squads, I buy cookies from the Girl Scouts, I vote, I care about the elderly, I donate to every cause or every children's cause, children with cancer, I donate to breast cancer awareness, I give a large part of what that truck earns back to the community, back to America, back to the people. That's just a message for America who thinks every truck driver that sits behind the wheel, that's our uniform, okay? Those are our work clothes. The t-shirt, the jeans, the button-down plaid shirts, the Carhartt gear, the Justin boots. That's our armor. That's our uniform. No different than a politician who puts on a suit and tie. No different than a firefighter who puts on a jacket or a helmet. We go to work and we dress appropriately. The clothes a man wears shouldn't dictate the type of person he is. I've always had it. Look, I grew up with a man whose hands were dirty. There was grease on his hands. There was grease under his fingernails. And he put in an honest day's work every day to raise me, my brothers, and our family. There's nothing wrong with being an essential worker. But here's the problem we're faced with as truck drivers. I've sat back for days now, and I've watched the comments back and forth out of DC. And I have a few problems. I have a few problems with those for the last 3 years that have jumped up and down and stomped their feet and said, when are we going to DC? We need to go to DC. Our voices need to be heard. We need to be there. We need to stand up. We need to flood DC with trucks. And what? Because you don't like the particular people that had the backbone or the gall to defy the system, to defy the bureaucracy? You find it necessary to make jokes about the type of truck that's in the video? Are you for real? You love trucking. Here's a little bit of insight. The type of truck you drive, the color of the truck you drive, the amount your truck is worth means nothing to the bureaucracy. It means absolutely nothing to the politicians. It means nothing to the motoring public. The only one that thinks it's special is you and maybe a handful of your friends. That's about it. Because when America sees you, they don't see any different than what they see any other truck going up and down the highway. You're a second-rate citizen. You're an object. Again, that was my point. You see the truck, it's an object. It's just something that's in the way. You're going too slow. You're not in the right lane. You're not doing... No, America doesn't see you any different because you drive a long hood truck. America doesn't see you any different because you drive a Mack, a Volvo, a Peterbilt, a Kenworth. First of all, half of them wouldn't know the difference between the three. We made a promise a long time ago. All of us that have been involved in this fight over the last 3-4 years, we said the moment a grassroots movement, the moment it was spontaneous, the moment they gathered We would give them time to hold it down, and the rest of us would be there. So where is everybody? Where is everybody? Where's all these rebels without a cause? Where's all these guys that said, we need to go to D.C.? We need to take back what's ours. We need America to hear us. I'm yelling in the complex, and it's echoing. Because you know what? I think everybody in here needs to know who it is that drives that truck. And stop looking at me when I come home wearing my black pants and my black t-shirt and my black steel-toe boots, and looking at me like I'm some kind of hood rat, or I'm some kind of bum, or I'm some kind of, that I'm nobody, that I don't matter. I'm just some guy driving a truck. So where are all these men of courage that have been flapping at the mouth and the gums for 3 years? Where are they? Because I tell you right now, there's a bunch of us that are going to make a decision, and we're going to go, and we're going to support them down there. We're going to go, we're going to show up, and we're going to start making sure that there is relief on Constitution Avenue. We're going to start making sure that Tuesday, when the president's schedule is clear, that those people get the opportunity to meet with the president, and they get to tell our story. I'm just curious, because for years I've heard Tony Justice, Andrea, and all these other big riggers, and not just them. I'm talking to Michael Paul. I'm talking to all of these guys, Alan Kelly, all of them, all of you said, when something spontaneous happened and it was true grassroots, you would be there. You would be there to support your brothers. You would be there. I'm not seeing those faces. What I'm seeing is hardworking Latin American, Cuban drivers who may not understand exactly what's happening in the system, but they understand something's wrong. You could talk to any one of them about safety, they agree. You could talk to any one of them about training, they agree. You could talk to any one of them about the threat of autonomous trucks, they agree. The problem is, the Latin American community is underrepresented. They don't have the voices that we have. We have 50,000 voices, half of which, I'm not even going to go there, but we have 50,000 white English-speaking people who get on Facebook and make videos every day and talk about how trucking should be. They don't have that. They don't have that type of representation. And like I said before, you think these people wake up in the morning and say, I want to go haul a cheap load of freight? I want to wake up in the morning and have somebody take advantage of me because my English isn't perfect? Is that what you think they do? Because that is not what they do. What they do is they wake up, they do exactly what you and I do. They may take a minute, look at the kids while they're asleep. They put on their boots. They grab their bag. They go out, they start up the truck. And they go out there and they do that for the same reasons you and I do it. They do it because they have families to feed. Are they taken advantage of? They are taken advantage of. That's why I'm kind of curious why I don't see Democrats running to the aid of the truck drivers that are on Constitution Avenue. Where's Bernie Sanders? Where's all these big-time people that are for the working class? Where's Joe Biden's comment? Fuck Trump for a minute. He's in the White House. He should come out and speak to these guys. That's a given. But where are all these people that are running for office that claim they support the little guy, the blue-collar guy, the working class? Where's Hillary Clinton? Where's Joe Biden? Where's Bernie Sanders? Where's Kamala Harris? Where are all these people that are for the little guy, for the blue-collar guy? Where are they? When they wanted to stand up and talk about how the pork truck drivers were being taken advantage of and beaten down and ripped off and make a public spectacle, they were there. But where are they when people who work for a living just want a little transparency in what happens out here in this industry? Huh? How dare we ask for a little transparency from brokers? How dare we do that? No one's telling them they can't make the amount of money they want to make. So to all you that are flapping your lips in these rates and lanes videos and everything else, we're not trying to say that brokers can't make what they want to make. We're not saying that we should be told how much we can make. What we're saying is there's a law in the books about transparency. But if you question that, They blackball you and remove you from the list, and the broker won't deal with you. Why? Because you have the balls, or you have the audacity or the gall to ask to see what you're entitled to by law. You're blackballed. The reason they don't want you to see it is because they're hiding something. They're being dirty. There's something called capitalism. I believe in it. I think it's great. I think we should all make what we want to make. But when you're doing it to be deceitful, or you're doing it because of greed, that's a problem. That's a problem. And I think people wouldn't haul cheap shit. People wouldn't haul these cheap loads if they knew what the loads were really paying. You imagine how much trouble the brokers would have if we were able to know at the end of the load that they pocketed $5,000 on a $15,000 load. We wouldn't call them back again, would we? We would go on to the next guy next time. See, so that transparency protects us. It protects us. And it does them in. That's why they don't want it. That's why they don't want it. How dare we have the audacity to make the playing field fair so we know who's being honest and who's being dishonest when we try to negotiate, when we try to use a tool to negotiate a rate that works for us, right? How dare we? How dare we try to use the tools, Rates and Lanes and Chad Boblet and the rest of you geniuses? How dare we ask for transparency so we know where we stand when we go into negotiations with one of these brokers? That we know that they're fair, that they know that they're doing right by us, that we know what we're up against. See, there's an answer for everything from these people. But these are the facts. This is the trucking truth. This is straight up the way it is. These men and women are down there because they want some transparency. They want some fairness. You know how the ATA and the FMCSA says we do these things to level the playing field? All these drivers want, that have had a vested interest in what's happened in D.C., is they want a fair playing field. They want some transparency. As Americans, how dare we ask for transparency in anything? So, if it takes hundreds of trucks on the streets of D.C., if it takes people blowing their horn every hour on the hour, if it takes signs, if it takes bodies, if it takes all that to get to one thing, transparency, some truth, some honesty, a little respect for the working man. If that's what it takes, that's what it's going to take. So my question, once again, is to all these people that have spent all this time on Facebook over the years flapping at the gums, you know, the Johnny-come-latelys, the guys that are going to change the world, where in God's name are you? Where are you? Because you've been as quiet as church mice. You've been absolutely quiet. These guys are screaming out for help. They're screaming out for people to come support them. They're screaming out that they're there for you. They're there on the front line in Washington, D.C., sleeping on the curb like myself and my wife and so many others have, just hoping somebody with a tie and a suit and a pair of shiny shoes will come over and say, what's on your mind? What's on your mind? Explain to us what's going on. Oh, the ATA doesn't represent 90% of America's small truckers? But they have a huge building over here in Washington, D.C. It says American Trucking Association. Well, Mr. Politician, so does the United Steelworkers. So does the TIA. So does the airplane industry. Does that mean they represent every single person? They're a lobbying arm. The ATA represents a very small portion of the industry, and that portion is the portion that says Walmart on the side of the trailers. It says J.B. Hunt. It says Crete. It says Rail. It says Schneider. And it says Werner. They don't represent John Neesmith Trucking, Will Cook Trucking, Greg Anderson Trucking, Janet Sanchez Trucking, Rick Santiago Trucking, Sean McIntosh Trucking, Jeremy. They don't represent the small business entrepreneur, the little guy that has continually had a boot on the back of their neck. They don't represent the Latin drivers that are mistreated, taken advantage of. They don't represent the Polish drivers who fight for every inch of ground they get in Chicago, in Indiana. They don't represent me. They don't represent me. A guy who gets up every morning, gets in that truck, and goes to work for a man who does his very best to keep freight on the trailer, miles under my feet, so that I can feed my family. so that I can live at least a small portion of the American dream. They don't represent him. They don't represent 90% of this industry. But because they have a fancy title and they have a big building in Washington, D.C., every time someone picks up the phone book and says, get me a trucker, I need to talk to some truckers. Well, right there in the phone book and on the internet, it says American Trucking Association. You guys starting to understand why I said you need to change the narrative? The first thing you all need to do is decide you're gonna go to D.C. Wherever you are right now, you need to stop and think the rest of the afternoon if on Monday or Tuesday you can be in D.C. to support these guys. They need relief. They need more trucks there. They need more voices there. They need support. Because this isn't just about rates for them. It's about the whole industry. It's about every single thing that every one of you have screamed and cried and jumped and pitched a fit and made radio shows and made Facebook memes and all this other stuff you've done. That is what this moment was. It was spontaneous. It was grassroots. Janet didn't sit around for a month and say, we need to go to D.C. Janet and her people got together and said, we need to do it now. And once again, a grassroots movement was born and people went and did it. And the rest of the industry is armchair quarterback in everything they do. But you ain't doing nothing. Sitting on your couch, watching my video. Those of you that are going, calling me a loudmouth, I am. I have a very big mouth. And I've never shut it. And I never will shut it. Because until things are fair, until President Trump comes out of that White House and talks to those truck drivers, we've heard it for days. There may be a meeting. There might be a meeting. He may come out. No, you need to make him come out. You need to blow those horns every hour on the hour, even on Sunday, so Gabriel himself thinks it's time for him to ascend from the heavens. That's how loud the horns need to be. They need to be so loud every day, every hour, on the hour, that Gabriel gets confused and decides to open up heaven and ascend from the clouds himself. That's how loud those horns need to be. That's what needs to happen. You need to be heard. And you haven't been heard. So on a beautiful Sunday afternoon, when you're sitting there and you're cruising through Facebook and you see my mug, my name's Charles Claborn. I live in Biloxi, Mississippi. I'm just a simple man. I've got 3 kids, 6 grandchildren, a son-in-law out there trucking, trying to make his way in the world, a wife who works hard every day to do what needs to be done to take care of this family when I'm on the road, and I drive a truck. This guy. I drive a truck. And I live in your community. I deliver the things you need, from buildings to medicine to milk, diapers, just like every one of them. We live in your communities. Like I said, we support your Little League teams. We support our local fire departments. We support the food drives, and we support the schools drives and boosters for the football team. I'm part of this community, but I'm also part of a larger community. Love, respect, and honor meant something at one time. And I think the industry's found it. I think they found it again. But I think it's time for each and every one of you to decide where you stand. Are you going to support what they're trying to do from their hearts? Or are you going to continue to sit back? Because tomorrow, there's a media blitz. There's a national call-in where all you have to do is push a button to call in and listen to the people that are trying to speak for you. It's an opportunity for you to have your voice heard and to be counted. It's an opportunity for you to show support for those people in D.C., in Chicago, and everywhere else in our industry that have decided to make a stand. So tomorrow, you should be following these links on America Without Drivers and other places, and you should be counted. So that when the media looks and says, well, how many truck drivers really cared? How many people were on that phone call? How many people were out there in the streets of D.C.? You can be counted. I know it's discouraging sometimes. It's discouraging. Some people want to be heard. Other people don't want to be heard. Some people have a problem with the voices that try to be heard. They'll say things like, well, they don't speak for me. I never claimed to speak for you, sir. I speak for me. And because I chose to use my voice, and my voice is a little bit louder than yours, you have a problem with it? Well, step up. Use your voice and tell them exactly what I said that was wrong. Go ahead and tell them. Tell them that it's okay that the hours of service are being held up by a budgetary agency. It's okay that the hours of service that they told us were going to be fixed is held up by a division of OMB, Office of Management and Budget. Can someone please tell me what in God's name that they have to do with hours of service? I can tell you what they have to do with hours of service, people. You ready? Because it's $800 billion a year industry. And if it's going to affect that $800 billion a year industry and take money away from wealthy people, or it's going to change the dynamic and how people profit off of your sweat, they don't want that to happen. They want to make sure that that money continues to flow, that trucking still stays an $800 billion a year revenue stream. That's why O&B, Office of Management and Budget, has the hours of service, because everything revolves around transportation. Everything. You understand that? So the press might want to ask, why does a branch of the government's budget have a copy of something that has to do with safety on the nation's highways? And why is it being held up by them? These are just simple questions that a simple man from Biloxi, Mississippi wants to know. And why is it so hard to understand? There's 24 hours in a day. There's 14 hours that we're allowed to work. We have to take 10 hours off to go to sleep. Let us do what we need to do in the 14 hours, and we'll take the 10 hours. Why is it complicated? You know why it's complicated? Because people like to talk. People do busy work. You know how when the guy at the shop, there isn't a lot of work, so the manager says, go get a broom, and we're still going to pay you, but just get a broom and sweep the floor so that you look like you're doing something. That's exactly what the bureaucrats do. They're just doing busy work. The FMCSA is a branch of this government that isn't needed. We have a DOT, and we have laws. We don't need the FMCSA. But what they've done is they've grown the Leviathan of the federal government to create jobs and titles for people so that their friends can have safety nets. That's what the FMCSA is. Because the FMCSA and the DOT are the exact same thing. Otherwise, Elaine Chao wouldn't speak on behalf of the FMCSA or claim to represent our country in transportation issues, okay? So stop letting them bullshit you. We don't need the FMCSA. We have the DOT, we have rules and regulations, and we have bureaucrats that love to create laws. We don't need the FMCSA. We really don't. We just don't. So stop letting them feed you a line of shit. Just like if they were doing their job, all these drivers wouldn't be in Washington. All these drivers wouldn't be screaming from the rooftops about all the problems. During the pandemic, the American truck driver kept their word. They kept their word. How important is that? They kept their word. They went out there without masks, without gloves, without protection of any kind. Were forced into circumstances that you, as an American citizen, would never have tolerated. Not in a million years would you have tolerated the treatment that we endured during the first 6 weeks of the pandemic. You would not have tolerated it. Unsanitary porta potties, lines and lines and lines, waiting in lines to get the goods that you needed. Couldn't find food. They were closing the very places that we're required to stop by their bullshit rules to take our breaks, to take our mandated 10-hour break. Closed them. We were forced to stand in drive-thrus and be treated like shit by people because they didn't understand there was no other way for us to get food, to get something to eat. And that was all okay. We were still America's heroes. You know, and many people, I tried to stay optimistic and positive. Many people said, you know, Charlie, when this is over, they're just going to go back to giving us the finger. They're just going to go back to calling us shit. They're just going to go back to treating us like crap. And it's exactly what happened. And I'm sorry I didn't see it. Because I really thought America was going to get behind the truck drivers. I really thought that America was going to make phone calls for us. I really thought America was going to step up to the plate and thank you, men and women, for bringing toilet paper. Thank you, men and women, for keeping milk and meat and everything else that they had to have on the shelves. Now, a large portion of America did. But do you people realize how big the population is in this country? It was a small percentage of good people, God-fearing people with a soul that stepped up to feed drivers and to give them the things they needed and to make sure we had safe parking. People stepped up and gave entire school parking lots in places like Washington State and a million other places where just individuals, good people, made lunch bags and food. And I had a woman approach me at Taco Bell and are you hungry? No, I got a refrigerator and stuff in my truck. I'm one of the lucky ones. I've been out here a long time. I'm a little bit more, self-sufficient. Try that guy over there. There were good people out there. But America doesn't care about your problems. They really don't. All they care about is that when they wake up on Sunday morning, they've got their croissants and their coffee and their orange juice and an internet connection. That's what they care about. America doesn't give two shits about Charlie Claborn, Will Cook, Nick, Esad, Elvis, Frankie, Alan. They don't give two shits about any one of us. But see, if they saw me walking down the street right now, coming out of church, I'd fit right in, right? I'd be a member of the high society. I'd be a member of the country club. They'd invite me in. They'd invite me in and say, hey, mister, we need to have you in our organization. We need to have a well-spoken, thoughtful, well-dressed, well-presentable member of the community. But boy, you let them see me get into that, and they would withdraw every offer they made that friggin' quickly. You understand that? I want you all to really, really think about the words. I'm trying to say this as delicately, as politically correct as I possibly can, because it's Sunday. So I'm trying not to use certain words. But if you don't get off of the ass that God gave you, if you don't join these men and women that are trying to make a stand, they've done nothing but remain professional. They haven't had problems with the police, not in Chicago, not in D.C. They've simply chosen to stand their ground where they are and to be heard. And like I said, if you don't get past some of this racist, ideologist bullshit that some of you have, you deserve every bit of pain and suffering you're about to get. You deserve it, because God made us all equal. He made us all the same. We all bleed red. We all breathe the air. We all need food and water to survive. You're no different. So get over yourselves. Yes, they're Latin American. Yes, they're Polish. Yes, they're Russian. Yes, they're Serbian. Yes, they're Punjabi. Get over yourselves. They're truckers. That's what this meant years ago. That's what it means right now. And that's the men that came before us. They didn't care if you were black, white, Mexican, Italian, German. They didn't care when they stood in the 70s. They didn't care. Trucking wasn't built on ethnicities and race and religion. Trucking was built on a passion and a love for 75 feet of chrome and steel. Trucking was built on loyalty, honor, and dependability. Trucking is like a Chevy truck commercial, solid like a rock. That's what trucking is. You follow me? That's what this industry was. That's what this industry should be. It should be solid. Every component, every voice as one. Not divided because he drives a Volvo or because he's from a country that you know nothing about, but you want to insert your comments. Like I said, the fastest way to be removed from my life is to show me that you're a racist piece of crap. That's how quickly you get removed from my life. And I've removed a dozen of you, and I will keep removing people until people understand trucking is about family. It's about a love. It's what it is, man. Trucking is love, man. It's honor, it's loyalty, it's respect. That's what it means to me. It means that I provide something that the world can't live without. I provide a service most people couldn't do in their wildest dreams. They couldn't wake up in Biloxi, Mississippi this morning and imagine being in Phoenix, Arizona tomorrow morning. They couldn't do it, and they couldn't imagine it. That's what we do. That's what we do. We deliver the impossible. And under impossible situations, storms, bad weather, shitty brokers, shitty politicians, shitty roads, we go out there and we solve problems on our own. And we find a way to get it from point A to point B. So, now that I'm done running my mouth, I'm going to encourage all of you to be on that national press conference tomorrow. I will make sure that Lisa and Lee and Will Cook and others post it up there. And I hope that you guys will be there to have your voice heard. I'm one of the voices that's going to represent me and people that agree with me and people that have allowed me to speak for them. I'm going to be there. Leland Schmidt's going to be there. Other voices that I believe can make a difference and help in what you're trying to do. So be there. And as for the rest of you, between now and Tuesday morning, you need to decide to make that trip. You need to decide to make that trip and support them. Give them the relief they need. I'm calling on every trucker out there that can hear my voice to go to DC. I'm not going to jump up and down and yell and scream. I'm going to ask you to listen to every word I said. And I'm going to tell you, whether you're Canadian, you're Polish, you're Punjabi, you're Latin American, you're white as me, white as Casper the Ghost. If you're a trucker, you're a trucker. None of that shit matters. You need to be in DC. You need to find your way there, and you need to give them some support and relief. That's what needs to happen. Right now, you need to make that decision, you owner-operators, that instead of packing a bag to go deliver a load that you may or may not make enough money on, or that you may or not make it to, pack your bag and head towards Washington, D.C. and show them some support. Stand with them. So if you can make it to D.C., you need to head there. And you need to head there not tomorrow, not Tuesday. You need to start thinking about leaving tonight and being there. Because Tuesday is apparently the day the president's schedule is clear. So you want him to hear your voice? Be there. Be on that phone call tomorrow. Tell the press exactly what I've been trying to say. We aren't represented by the ATA. We aren't represented by the motor truck associations in the state we live. They are an arm of the ATA. We're not represented by anybody. Small business truckers are a coalition of voices who have no representation, and they just try to pretend we don't exist. So, enjoy the blue skies. Enjoy this beautiful Sunday afternoon. And remember, God gave you a voice. He gave you air to breathe for a reason. It wasn't so you could sing in the shower. It was so you could be heard. So you could lift it to praise His name. So that you could lift it when things were unjust or unfair. So that you could be heard. That's what your voice is for. Enjoy your families. Enjoy your Sunday. And remember, every time you look into the camera and think you're going to take a meme for Facebook or you're going to make a live, tell them this. My name's Charlie Claborn, and I'm a proud American truck driver who simply isn't going to take it anymore. I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to jump up and down. I'm not going to spit at the phone and scream how bad government sucks, because we all know they suck. We don't need to say it. I don't need to be angry anymore. What I need to do is continue to use my voice and to do something positive, to do something that matters. So that's it. Remind America who you are. Pick up your phone, go on Facebook, and introduce yourself to the world. Tell them that you're a proud American trucker and You're just simply not going to take it anymore. Grassroots is grassroots. If there ever was a time to stop moving these trucks, it's today, Sunday. Just stop moving. Don't leave the house tomorrow. Stay home, or go to DC. Go to DC. We can't go anywhere anyway. Half the nation's locked down. So park your truck, go out in the yard, sit in a lawn chair. They know where we are. When they need us, they'll come find us. God bless each and every one of you. And just like I did last week, I'm gonna say a quick prayer if you guys will indulge me, because I believe it's important right now. So you can either join me or disappear, but I'm going to do it anyway. Dear Heavenly Father, on this beautiful Sunday, on this beautiful day that you created for all the world to enjoy, many American truck drivers are struggling. They're struggling with decisions. They're struggling, Lord, with how are we going to feed our families? How do we deal with transparency? How do we deal with all the unfair things? Lord, I ask that you give each of them the strength to understand what it is they're fighting for, to give them the strength to look and educate themselves, Lord, that they don't feel alone, that they understand your hand is upon everything. Lord, keep them safe as they are out there traveling, delivering the stuff that America needs to survive. Lord, let them know by wrapping your loving arms around each and every one of them that they do matter, that they are important, that they are children of God, and they were put on this earth for a reason. You know their purpose. They know their purpose. Guide them in that purpose and protect them. I pray each and every one of these things, Lord, and I ask them in your name. Keep their families safe. Keep us all safe. And help us. In Jesus' name, amen. Like I said, you could either have joined me or you could have left. And 262 of you decided to stay. That gives me hope that we're going the right way. So make a decision. It's your decision. Get past all the nonsense that they want us to believe and stand together. Stand with Janet. Stand with Sean. Stand with Jeremy. Stand with Will Cook. Stand together. Together, they can't break you. If they divide you, we'll be right back where we started. You guys have a great Sunday. I love each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart and from my family. We appreciate you. God bless you and have a great Sunday.